actually met some of the people that write the executive orders last night,
Right.
and they need sleep. They're working overtime.
What a great team.
Yeah. So I remember when I was at Fox, Barack Obama, we didn't call it this, but it was shock and awe. I couldn't keep up with it. It was going too fast. You have put that to shame.
Blew them all away.
Blew them all away. Was that by design to?
No.
Like Trump make us feel like we was asking too little of the past presidents. That's how Trump make a lot of people feel like, whoa, was we asking too little? Damn, maybe we should ask a little bit more the way Trump is getting stuff done.
And there were just so many things that the country needed. I mean, honestly, this country, what they did in 4 years was so disastrous for the country. I wish I didn't have to do so much, but they did things that were just horrible. I mean, with energy, they terminated Anwar, which is the biggest find in the world, in the whole world, in Alaska. They terminated it. They did things on the border that are shocking, just absolutely shocking. You know, we have the best border we've ever had now. And 3 months ago was the worst border in history, probably for any country, not just here. There was no border. There's never been a border like that where prisons and gangs and drug dealers and murderers are allowed to walk in without being checked or vetted. So it wasn't by design. It was just that they have so many things. I mean, we're doing a lot more. There are a lot more to come.
So I want to get into this a little later, but this seems appropriate to bring it up here. Where the hell is Congress? Where are the Republicans?
Yeah, well, I think they're working hard. I think you're going to see that if we pass as I call it, the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about one bill.
Yes.
We were talking, as you remember, it was a debate on should we do one big one or should we do 3 or 4 or 2? And we're doing it in one bill, which I thought was much more beautiful because it's everything. It's everything. It's tax cuts, it's regulation cuts, it's things that you wouldn't believe. Lots of, it's big, and we get that done. It's beautiful. And we are getting along.
I mean, hey, it's gonna be a big, beautiful deal, big, beautiful bill for everybody. You know, as long as those no tax on overtime and no tax on tips included. Yeah, trust me, it's gonna be a big, beautiful bill for everybody. I guarantee you.
Very well. I will tell you, the Republicans, we had a majority a few months ago of 1 in the House. Now we have 7. That's a lot. We won 2 races and picked up a couple of others in addition. But we're up to 7. That's a big difference.
Will all your work go away, however, if they don't codify?
So we're going to codify, and we're going to wait till after the bill is passed, and then we're going to work on nothing but codifying. As an example, the other day I did shower heads and sinks and the whole thing.
Thank you.
Isn't it nice?
Oh, yes, it is.
No, you go into a new building, a hotel, and no water comes out. No water comes out of the sink. All of that's done. Dishwashers. We did a little thing, very little thing, but it was a big thing to some people. Straws. We are now making again straws that are plastic straws as opposed to paper that melts. That melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
And so many different things. It's been really amazing. A lot of them common sense.
What is the one thing that you think is maybe overlooked that you think is the most significant thing that you did?
Well, I mean, I really think we've done a lot because biggest tax cuts like last, we had a tremendous 4 years.
Well, I'll tell you the biggest thing that Dems think he did was launch those tariffs. Those tariffs are probably the biggest thing he's done so far. And guys, let me know how the mic's sounding. Appreciate the support. Make sure you guys double tap that screen and like the video.
I mean, the thing that you think to yourself, why isn't this getting more attention? This is big.
Well, if you look at, and this is not the biggest thing, but it's a big thing, men and women's sports, how these people can be promoting it even now is unbelievable. The men playing in women's sports, when we put a whole thing out on that, and that's no longer a part of our fabric. Hopefully we have a couple of people like Maine, the governor of Maine, who wants to play the game, and she's going to lose an election if she runs. I don't know
if you don't know what's going on with the governor of Maine, she's the only person that's not dropping this whole, men playing women's sports. I know, right? It's the most petty thing, the most obvious policy that you could possibly follow for the sake of the women in your state. So if she don't lose just off that, then I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what's going on there, man. Like somebody must be rigging your elections if a woman like that could win. I'm just saying.
She runs, I couldn't care less, but she was one that wanted to take it on. Even in California, they gave up on that one pretty much. That was something that's amazing. Open borders to me are amazing. We don't have open borders. We have nice closed borders now. We have people can come into our country, but they have to come in legally. But I mean, how amazing is that when you have, because you're asking about things that I see that are amazing. That's amazing that you can have an open border where prisoners from all over the world are allowed to come into our country. 11,888 murderers are allowed into our country. We have that number of murderers. We're taking them out as rapidly as we can. And by the way, we're being met with strong resistance from judges that are, I don't know where they come from. I don't know where they come from.
Let me go there. There's some amazing stats that I looked up. I don't think most Americans know this. Bill Clinton turned away 12.3 million people. Formally returned home 1 million. He had 12 injunctions on him. George W. Bush, 10.3 million people, 2 million he turned around formally, 6 injunctions. Barack Obama, 5.5 million, 3 million he formally turned around.
Damn.
And he had 12 injunctions. You have 30 last time, 30 last time, 30 this time.
Yeah.
And you're facing 190, you're 100 days in.
Yeah.
And you have 190 cases against you.
It's obstruction. And what they're doing to the...
And this is what I was kind of like making with the one video with Levitt, when he was kind of explaining how the Supreme Court is kind of like out of bounds or kind of out of their lane, and how it does seem like the judicial branch and the legislative branch is teaming up to go against the executive branch. And that is not a balance of power.
The country is unbelievable, but we're getting it done and we're winning, but it's so much more difficult than it should be. When you have a murderer that people are protecting, when you have people like, you read so much about the wonderful man from Maryland. Who was just wonderful, but he had on his knuckles tattooed MS-13. We didn't know he was MS-13, and the Democrats are working hard to protect him. And it's not. I don't want to get into his reputation, but it's not exactly stellar.
Yeah.
And when they do that, that's like how they protect open borders, as I said, or.
And if you don't know, yes, Kilmar Garcia has been confirmed as an MS-13 gang member. They have police footage of him being caught in a car with an admitted human trafficker. I mean, bro, this guy is so far down the river. It's crazy how you're trying to bring him back.
So many of the other things, transgender for everybody.
What does it tell you that the Democrats are trying to protect him, stop you at the border, and when you shut down USAID, which a lot of their money was coming from, a lot of their money, all the color revolution money was there, and coming back here for color revolution, that they immediately respond to that, to Tesla or to Elon, and the worst of the worst. What does that tell you about them?
Well, they don't want to do anything about it. That's right. Well, when you look at the kind of money that we found, fraud, waste, abuse, when you look at billions of dollars given to people that did nothing, and billions. I mean, Stacey Abrams was given $2 billion into an environmental account where she had $100. $2 billion. Yeah. Now, 2 million is a lot. 200,000 is a lot.
Right.
She's giving $2 billion out of that grouping. No, and
Stacey Abrams is yet to answer for that into an environmental account. It only had $100 in it, but all of a sudden it got $2 billion. And like I said, I wonder what type of kickbacks she's giving out.
Terrible, terrible. Oh, and that was nothing compared to some of the ones that we found.
Are there?
And the press doesn't even want to write about it, by the way.
My audience, I hear from every day. They're concerned about tariffs. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they're also concerned about justice and not seeing the wheels of justice turn. Like Stacey Abrams, if she did something illegal, she should go to jail. is justice going to be pursuing these people in Russiagate or whatever the crimes might be?
Well, I think
COVID.
Pam Bondi is doing a fantastic job. She's our law enforcement person that's doing outstanding work. I really think.
I mean, yeah, shout out to Pam Bondi. I mean, today, guys, a judge has been, taken into custody, locked up, because she's decided to harbor illegal aliens. You know, it's actually fun. There was somebody on the channel that literally said they'll do that, and I have not heard from that man in a long time. Professor Swagamuffin, I hope you are okay.
I think so. I think Cash is going to be at FBI's doing a really great job.
Right.
Now, it's very early, so I can't. I can't really tell you, but I think a lot of the things that you're talking about have to be looked at.
Yeah,
they have to be looked at.
Let me go back to the border here for a second. Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that it is a failed narco state. Is Mexico a failed state, narco state?
Well, I would say, in all due respect, and I really like the president a lot. I've gotten to know her, and I really like her. She's an elegant, beautiful woman, but I think it's run by the cartels.
Yeah.
And they have so much control over it. And, I think the politicians are, they're afraid. I think the police are probably afraid. A lot of them are shot and killed.
I know.
And
I had a guy from
even the military is very much afraid.
I had a guy, an ATF agent, reach out to me, and he said, Glenn, and I wrote it down someplace, but he said, have people in our ATF actually trace the numbers. He said they keep talking about all these guns that are in the hands of cartels and how they get them across the border from America.
Right.
He's like, all of those numbers correlate with the numbers that come from the Pentagon, the arms that we officially ship to their military. And he said, they're taking the military guns and using those. It's like
nothing surprises me when you see
the cartel, when they got military guns, a whole lot of money to buy those guns. Yeah, I could see why they pretty much ruled the countries that they're in, like, Mexico, Venezuela, probably others, probably Colombia as well.
The kind of drugs comes in from China. We tax them 20% because of what they've done with fentanyl, but it goes through Mexico largely, and it goes through Canada too, by the way.
Right.
A lot goes through Canada, but it comes through Mexico and Canada. But when you watch Mexico, what's happening, it's pretty amazing. And we've shut down the border, but we've shut it down. And I didn't need laws passed.
I know.
As the expression goes, they just needed a new president.
Yeah,
so he said, shut down the border. We shut it down.
I mean, we didn't need a whole bill. So, I mean, the Dems needed the bill for some reason, but that bill was actually a foreign aid bill. And then, when the Republicans turned it down because they're like, we're tired of the foreign aid, then they want to say that, Trump stopped the border bill. But then when Trump gets in there, he didn't need a border bill. He just needs to use the powers he already had to lock it down.
We shut it down tight. But Mexico's got some very big problems.
I would imagine the people of Mexico, because if I were in Mexico, I've often role played. If I were in Mexico and I was living in a failed narco state and everybody I voted for was being killed and my family was being threatened, I'd try to get across the border as well. It would only make sense. But when your government won't do anything about it or can't do anything about it, honestly, I would be at bed at night next to my kids praying that, special forces might just kind of pay some people some visits in the middle of the night.
Right, Glenn. And I've asked I said, would you like some help? I'd be glad to give you help. No, we don't want help. They really don't want help. Please, we do not want help. But
isn't it?
I think they need help.
At some point, doesn't it?
Well, I can't tell you about that because that would be breaking news, wouldn't it? But you could say at some point maybe something's going to have to happen. It can't go on the way it is. Look, when we closed the borders, that was a big deal, and we had to fight very hard to close. That was not just as simple as it sounded, because it happened fast. There were lots of skirmishes that went on because that was a big revenue source for a lot of people. But no, we're here to help Mexico if we can.
Legal immigrants were a big revenue source, especially I say for Small businesses who kind of want to skirt the law so they don't got to pay an American wage or minimum wage, and they can just pay somebody under the table at a very low wage. Let's see. I mean, pushing in a lot of these immigrants also affected, I mean, further up the chain, like manufacturing and all that, because of these temp agencies that kind of force in foreigners over American citizens. Why? Because you could pay them less. So did immigration take jobs away from Americans? Yes. Yes, it did, actually.
The president very much. I like the people, so many of the representatives, but it can't be easy for them. It really, I think it's a very dangerous job.
So some people, the last administration, they didn't want to check anybody's ID or ask any questions on the way in. COVID, in the height of COVID, we don't even check them for that.
Don't check them for anything.
Bring them in. Now they all seem to want to check them on the way out.
Yep.
And the judges are, I think it was Senator Mike Lee that said this is judicial insurrection.
Yeah, I think you could say that.
I'm not a big fan of Andrew Jackson. I know you are. Andrew Jackson took care of this constitutionally.
Right.
Would you consider taking care of this some way or another with the judges in a constitutional way?
I'm weak though. Can Trump end the judicial insurrection? I mean, that's literally what it is, though. That is literally what it is. It's the judicial branch trying to impede on the president when they have no power to. It's like the district court, even the Supreme Court agreed that, dog, you had no right to go against the president on that. Or, well, the executive branch. I'm sorry, but sit down.
More with my interview. Did you dare to use a pillow? Apparently, that's the point where you realize,
guys.
It's really.
I hope we don't have to get into it, but I will say we have millions of people in this country right now that are criminals, and you see how fast we're getting them out, and we're going to get them out even faster. But when you have to get out and do court cases for individual people, and you would have, in theory, millions of court cases, you know what that means. If you had one court case, it takes forever. Millions of court cases? They're really saying you're not allowed to do what I was elected to do. I was elected for...
That's pretty much what the court is doing. They're pretty much saying that, you're not allowed to have your executive powers, and we're going to try to impede on your executive powers every step of the way. Like I said, it is like the judicial branch and the legislative branch is kind of ganging up on the executive branch, and that is not a balance of power. Like even what the Supreme Court did, a lot of people were outraged by it because they were like, you're not supposed to stop the flights. You're supposed to decide if it's unconstitutional or not, and then we'll go from there. But if you guys don't know, let me simplify how our government is supposed to work. The Supreme Court is basically a referee between, or the judicial branch is basically a referee between the legislative and the executive. They want to go back and forth on what's unconstitutional, what's right, and all that good stuff. The Supreme Court is the referee in that decision. But the Supreme Court cannot impede on the executive branch or the judicial branch. They're just the referee. They can, and once they make their call, then they can go ahead and make that boom. Now, if you want me to go ahead and give you a good reference, can a referee stop a game mid-play? I mean, they has to wait till the foul occurs, till the violation occurs. They can't just stop the game midway. And that's pretty much what the judicial branch did. Before a ruling was made, they paused the executive's power, the president's power. There you go. Oh, yeah. Make sure to double tap that screen and like the video.
A very big part of it was the border and getting people out, because I said, and the stats reveal it. When you look at Tren de Aragua, when you look at MS-13, when you look at these gangs and just really bad criminals coming in, we have many murderers, people that killed, 50% of which killed more than one person. They put them into our country through open borders. And now we have to go to court to get them out. I don't think the people of our country are going to stand for it.
Let me switch. You were elected for several things. one of which was to reduce the size of the government. And thank you for the Department of Education. Thank
Right.
you for the USAID. Thank you for the things you're doing on that. It was announced, I think, yesterday that Elon is possibly reducing his role,
Yeah.
not leaving, but reducing his role in May. It was a true $2 trillion goal. It was reduced to $150 billion. Is that lawsuits? Is that deep state?
No, that's money found, and it's a lot of money. You know, it's $150 billion, and think of it, that's a lot of money. Now, that's continuing, and it will continue. You know, it's not easy. These are thieves.
No, I know.
In many cases, thieves. In some cases, it's incompetence and all, but it's also thieves. That number is continuing, but if you just stopped at that number, that's a tremendous number. We found things that you wouldn't believe. And then there's others that you look at certain roles of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, where people that don't exist are on, where people that do exist, but they're not supposed to be on are on. You know, we have, that's just building up. That number's building up very rapidly.
I think you're going to be remembered as the AI president. I don't know if you feel this way at all, but AI is going to define the
very
next.
Big, yeah.
Yeah. And you are the first one to really talk about it, really take it on, and surround yourself with people who know what this is. Has Elon been helping you at all on AI or?
Well, he probably knows more than anybody else that I know about it, but we have some great people here. And I don't know that that's how I'm going to be defined, but AI is certainly very important, and we're pressing it very hard. We have trillions of dollars being invested. And whatever it is, you know, if you're not into that world, you have to say, what?
You could dare say that AI is the most powerful tool that any country could wield right now. Honestly, any company. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty powerful tool that can get a lot of things done. So trust me, you'd want to be there. I would say the country that's running it, that's pretty much damn near have the whole infrastructure there, because it's going to be, well, the leading thing, as it is already in a way. Like AI it's on the up and up. I mean, check the stocks.
Whatever it is, it's big, because the biggest people are coming in, and companies with more money than anything else you can imagine, more than even the car plants. We're opening up many, many car plants, factories, if you want to call them that, because that's what they are. And they're coming in from Mexico. They're coming in from Canada.
And shout out to my man, Fox Chase. Appreciate the support, man. Member for 5 months. He says, so it boils down to the Supreme Court of the United States is king with final say, and they're lefters. District judges are gonna make Trump answer to the Supreme Court on all of it. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So they're pretty much holding up the process, because now the Supreme Court got to go through each and every case like, hey, yo. And like I said, the Supreme Court is like a referee pretty much. And the district courts, Congress, those are part of the legislative branch, and they're all well, Congress is the legislative branch. The district judges are part of the judicial branch, and they're all teaming up to kind of appeal to the Supreme Court to go against the judicial branch. The problem is with the Supreme Court is that Trump is winning a good amount of these cases. Like I said, they've already voted 9-0 on that district judge being able to stop him, but they voted 7-2 to pretty much pause his deportations, sending these gang members on flights until they review the case, and because now that they heard all arguments, about to deliberate, look over documents, and then give us an answer later on, which we're pretty much waiting on. So we don't know if the deportation flights will be stopped so they can go ahead and get their, I guess, due process, or they're just going to continue it and just say, yeah, well, under the Aliens Enemies Act, he's able to go, send him out. Come on, Trump's in the right, but like I said, the left is kind of doing anything to hold things up.
Coming in because of the tariffs, we're getting record numbers. We have over $7 trillion worth of investment already. Think of that. It's going to be unbelievable. But AI is one of the biggest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And these places that they're building, if you said $200 million, $300 million, that's for a corner of the building.
Right.
These are the biggest things. And I'm making it possible, as you probably know, with AI. The one thing is you need massive amounts of electricity.
Energy.
And I'm getting it for them. And I'm getting
How
them
are you doing? Eric
immediate approval. And I'm letting them build their electric plant. In other words, they're becoming really a producer of electricity. So
nuclear plants?
they can use nuclear if they want for the energy. They need to create
Because
electricity.
Eric Schmidt said yesterday or the day before,
Yeah, I mean that's something that a lot of people don't know is that AI requires a lot of power. Like I didn't even know. I was like, really? Something that you can just create kind of online on a computer? Yeah, it requires a lot of power to keep this thing going. And that is why, I mean, a lot of I would say data centers and AI companies are actually trying to build their own mini nuclear plants. I mean, Google is trying to get approval for it to get their own little electric grid or a nuclear plant in their facilities or their data centers so they can, power their facilities without kind of dragging on, the public's electricity. Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of crazy what they're doing now.
Use 3%. They use 3% of the power. They're going to need, by 2027, 99% of the
They
power.
need more electricity than we have right now in our country.
Right.
Powering everything. Which
and you'll
is crazy.
cut all of the red tape and get that built?
We're going to get it done very quickly. We're going to let them become utilities, actually. We're going to let them build their own electric plant. Because when they first came to me, I heard this number that we have to double electricity.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, let them build their own electric plant. I heard wanted to build their own nuclear plant. I was like, damn, I mean, yeah, y'all need all the power in the world then. But if you do look at some of these data centers, I mean, trust me, if you look at them, some of them already got their own electrical plant, like many little electrical plants. Oh, I wonder how they got that going.
And we're way ahead of China right now, by the way. You probably heard. Way ahead on AI.
On AI, yes.
And they don't have the problem with electricity because, that takes one person's approval.
Right.
We have to go through a process. And I call it a national emergency. We have to be. We're going to be number one. We're going to be number one on everything. We have to be. Or we're going to lose our spot, and that's not going to happen. If we have competent presidents, we will do great. If we don't have competent presidents, we just witnessed 4 years of the most incompetent human being anyone's ever imagined, and it really hurt this country. But we're bringing it back fast.
You say if we don't have competent presidents.
Yeah.
You and I have talked before on tariffs, and I give you the benefit of the doubt because you're the best negotiator this country has ever had, probably the best the world has seen.
I better be.
Yeah,
we need it.
We need it, and you've earned the right. It concerns me about Congress not stepping up because of regulations and tax cuts. Those things have to go through to be able to complete all of this.
I think you'll be surprised. Now, when I say Congress, Republicans in Congress, because we have majorities. They're not big majorities. In the Senate, we're up 3, which is okay. And in the House, we're up 7, as I said. And we are going to be coming forward with, it's the biggest bill, I think, in history. And I think you will say that if we get that passed, you're going to give them very good marks.
Good.
Because everything's in that bill.
Okay.
And then all we have to do is work the bill, work the magic. But it'll be the biggest tax cut in history. It'll be the biggest regulation cuts in history. It'll be so many other things. And I think that
and we need those regulation cuts because that's what's going to get these factories expedited on the building process. And it's what's going to get us access to our own rare earth and minerals, and, the coal, of course, drill, baby, drill.
Congress gets them approved, and I think they will. Now, we will get no votes from Democrats. It's horrible. It's horrible. The divide is so incredible. You look at what's going on. I mean, Schumer did the right thing, and he ends up being excommunicated from his party when you think about it, right? The level is...
That is wild, though. And I always just say this. I was like, so this man Schumer keeps the government from shutting down. The thing that the libs has been fear-mongering on for before it happened for 2 months and a half, the government shut down, all these people are going to lose this, they're going to lose that. All right, cool. So Schumer makes sure the government doesn't shut down and you guys are trying to replace him? What? Get mad at this man because he did what's right for the American people? oh no, it's Trump's CR bill, so we're upset. It's for the American people, so the government don't shut down. Where can y'all find an agreement on if it's not for the American people?
It's just so bad. Their policy is so bad. You know, they're great at cheating and they're great at certain things, but they are so bad on policy. They're so far off. When I watch them trying to prosecute the same things that they just lost an election in a landslide on, and they're still going through the same things, it's crazy. And they don't know who their leaders are. They have a new one, Crockett. Have you seen Crockett? Have you ever seen her talk?
Oh,
this is going to be their leader.
I hope she's the next candidate for president.
We can hope. And
oh yeah, it's either her or AOC. Please, no, actually, run AOC and Jasmine Crockett together. Please, just make this an easy win for us. I promise you, Dems, you guys will make you'll make my year that year. I'll tell you that. 2028 you'll make my year if y'all run those two, please.
One way, but in other words, pretty demeaning. It's demeaning to our country. But you don't see anybody out there.
So this is pure conjecture here, but in trying to understand you and the moves that you made, when you called the Tariff Day Liberation Day, that harkened to me back to the end of the war, World War II. And I'm wondering, because of all of the moves you've made, NATO, the endless wars, everything else that goes along with this, are you signaling to the world that this is not just tariffs? This is an end to the order that we built after World War II, because it might have been good after World War II for everybody. But
I mean, yeah, it was good then, but at a certain point, we had to stop it. The problem is, though, we're long overdue on stopping what we set in motion. And when people say, "Oh, but this is what y'all created," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, you're right. You're right. We're not gonna take that away from y'all, but what we are gonna take is those jobs back. Yeah, you're damn right. I know we started it, but we can take it back, baby. And with tariffs, well, we have." Now, a lot of people don't know what's going on in China, so therefore they're going to speak. Well, I would say they're going to be very uneducated on the subject of what's going on in this tariff war. But I can always explain it if y'all want. All right, let's get right back to it.
We're not the suckers anymore. That's long past, and it's time to transform.
You've said it so well, because people don't talk about that. Even I don't mention it enough. We helped countries after World War II. We helped them rebuild, and the Korean War with South Korea. And we never stopped.
Never.
And they became very successful, and they stole our businesses. Look, South Korea took our car business, our shipbuilding business.
Oh, guys, you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreement? I'll be happy to engage with it and read it out loud for everybody else. Appreciate the support. Just $2 and up. And we're doing something new tonight. 150 to go ahead and open up the call-in line, run conspiracy hour, and keep the show going longer. Trust me, I got a great lineup for y'all tonight. All right, guys, let's get right back to it.
You know, so many different business, technology, electronics. If you look at Japan, and I'm not knocking them, I think it's great what they did for them. The one I'm knocking and the people I'm knocking are our presidents and our leaders, that we allowed that to happen.
So I was talking to somebody last night who's around the economy and knows it quite well. And I said to them, I'm not a fan of tariffs. I've talked to the president about it. However,
you might be.
I might be in the end.
You might.
However, I don't see anyone else.
You know, it's actually crazy, though, because the main argument with this tariffs, or the main argument that people be giving me, is that, oh, well, the United States is only 16% of Chinese exports. And guess what? We're still their largest customer. I know, right? And you guys are probably thinking like S.E.T, but we're only 16%. I know. Out of 120 countries, my friend, out of 120 countries, yes, 16% is the largest share we hold of their exports. Yes, we are their biggest buyer with 16% of their exports. Yes, we are. Out of 120 countries, you're damn right.
With another option. And I feel like this is our last chance. And if you can't get it done, if we can't make this turn, we're done. And this individual reached out and put their hand on my shoulder and said, no, Glenn, we're done.
Mhm.
How serious is the situation that America is in if we don't turn this corner?
I mean, I like how you put a dire situation on that. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can explain that for you right now. I mean, I can't really see a reason. I don't really see a way these countries can kind of, well, subvert us. They really can't subvert us. They need our buying power. We have the strongest dollar in the world, regardless of where it's at right now. It is still the strongest dollar. People mainly trade in our dollar. And that's the thing, though. People trade in our dollar so they can get their money's worth. They can get that exchange rate back when they take it back to pay their workers. So guess what? They just can't go to any other country and just get a limited amount of dollars like they can in the US. I know, right? It's like y'all be forgetting about the certain powers that we hold here, like, with our currency.
It's to become really amazing, and that's with me, whether we like it or not. I hate to put that weight on my shoulders, but that's what we have. Because we were ripped off by every country, I always say friend and foe.
Mhm.
And honestly, the friend was oftentimes worse than the foe. Ripped off on trade, ripped off on the military too. Hey, Glenn, when I got involved, NATO, I wasn't a big expert in NATO, but I have a lot of common sense, and I figured it out in about 2 minutes. Nobody was paying. I mean, they weren't paying their bills.
Good.
So we were defending Europe, and we were getting ripped off by Europe in trade. It was like massive. No country can sustain that.
I know, right? I'm like, bro, we're paying most of the NATO bill. We protect a lot of these countries, and then they're ripping us off in trade. I mean, with tariffs, we're talking about import bans or import limitations. But we're pretty much fitting their bill and they're protecting their country. It's like wild.
We're paying most of the bill for NATO.
Right.
And when I say most, I mean like in the 80s and 90% and maybe 100. And I got involved and I said, you're going to have to pay your bills or we're not going to be here for you any longer. And they said, well, does he really mean that? And they said, you mean if we don't pay the bill, you're not going to be here? Nope, I'll be gone.
Good for you.
And they said, And the Secretary General of NATO, Stoltenberg, good guy, said, he has done something that I've never witnessed before. Because Bush would come in, give a speech and leave. Obama would come in, give a speech and leave. Biden, we don't even talk about because he followed me. He let it get out of control. But he said Trump came in, didn't give a speech, made a nice speech, but didn't care about it. What he cared about was the fact that nobody was paying. They weren't paying their bills. So we were ripped off. We were defending them, and they were killing us with the European Union, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States of America. And I said, this isn't going to go on. So I'm not so popular in Europe because of what I've done, but in many ways I am popular. People don't want to see us fail.
If it wasn't for their press that is worse than ours, because most of it is state-run, I think you would be popular because the people are in the same position.
They get it.
They get it. It's happening in their country, and I don't understand how.
It is happening over there. It's happening.
I mean, I just read a report that they said Sweden, the Netherlands, could be out by 2030. I talked to Liz Truss just a couple of weeks ago, and she said, Glenn, England is a failed state.
Yeah.
Damn.
How are the...
She's been very nice. She's been saying good things about me. She got...
The shaft.
I think so. I mean, she basically said, I want to reduce taxes. And they threw her out.
Yeah.
And she was right. I reduced taxes. It's one of the things that made us do so well.
Yeah.
Because we had the strongest economy in history during my first 4 years. My first 4 years was incredible. I think we're going to do even better now. But we have a chance to do something that's monumental. And I'm in the process of doing it right now.
But how do you negotiate with a group of elites who, honestly, they were for the Great Reset, the WEF Great Reset?
I don't have to negotiate. I'm talking to people out of respect, but I don't have to. So we're this giant store that people want to come in and buy from. We're the United States. We have the richest consumer, et cetera, right? But we're not going to be that way for long if we don't do something. But we're this giant store, and they all want to come in and they want to take our product. But to take our product, they're going to have to pay. And we'll either make a deal with them or we'll just set a price, because some countries are worse than others. Some countries have ripped us off really badly, and some countries have just ripped us off a little bit. But almost all of them have ripped us off because we've had really poor leadership. And what's going to happen is we're going to...
I mean, yeah, we hold a trade deficit. What I'd say about like 80 to 90% of the countries in the world, we hold a trade deficit with. And it's not because, it's not just because we buy more from them than they do from us. Actually, I'm not even sure if that would be the case if they would drop the BS. To buy the BS, I mean, drop their tariffs on our goods, drop import bans on certain goods, and drop import limitations on certain goods. And I'm pretty sure we see those trade deficits, if not even out, reduce significantly.
We are negotiating. We're negotiating with 70 different countries. And we're negotiating. We're showing great respect. But in the end, we may make deals, but either that or I just set a price. I said, here's what you're going to pay for the privilege of servicing the United States of America. And they have an option. They can maybe talk to me a little bit, or they can not shop. You know, they don't have to shop at this big store, or they can shop.
Right.
But in any event, they're going to have to pay. Look, we owe $36 trillion for a reason. The reason is the trade, and also the endless wars, the stupid wars that we fought. We go into the Middle East, we blow it up, we leave, we don't get anything. And you're a big fan of exactly what I'm saying. I'm meaning, let's not do the stupid stuff.
Doesn't work.
It's stupid. Endless wars that they don't even want us. You know, we got into wars, they didn't even want us. So all of that stuff. You know, when I left 4 years ago, we had no wars. We had no Israel and Hamas. And by the way, it would have never happened because Iran was broke. They were broke. I had sanctions that were so strong on Iran. They were totally broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. We didn't have Russia, Ukraine. That would have never happened, by the way. We didn't have the Afghanistan embarrassment.
Because, man, the thing about Russia, Ukraine is we're about to find out a lot about that in a couple of videos down the line. But the whole thing about Russia and Ukraine is it was all about, well, NATO aggressing towards Russia. Pretty much NATO was told that, hey, you're going to keep it at Germany. They did not keep it at Germany. They kept on pushing it. And the last straw was Ukraine. So I'm going to be honest with you. We can all sit here and try to blame Putin on it. But if we actually look at the history of it, it's kind of NATO's fault. More NATO's than anybody.
Embarrassment, one of the great embarrassments in the history of our country. We didn't have any inflation.
I know.
Don't forget, I charged China hundreds of billions worth of tariffs. They talk about inflation. We had no inflation. Because that doesn't cause inflation. Stupidity causes inflation. High energy caused inflation. When they took over my energy, we were making it like nobody's ever seen. And then the prices doubled. By the way, because of that, Putin went in.
I'm telling you, and here's the thing, though. If that the NATO narrative is not a narrative, that's a historical fact. That's a historical fact that we told Putin that it's not, bro. NATO will not go anywhere past, anywhere past Germany. We told, well, not Putin, but I believe Russia that. We told the leadership of Russia that we will not put NATO anywhere past Germany. We have violated that on so many levels. And I'm talking about NATO has violated that on so many levels. And the last straw was Ukraine. Now, it gets a little deeper when you talk about Ukraine and when you talk about there's certain people in Ukraine who consider themselves ethnic Russians and how the Ukrainian army was attacking these people for trying to separate from Ukraine because they wanted to be Russian. They held an election, said that they wanted to be a part of Russia, and Putin recognized it. And that's one of the reasons why he came in and took Crimea. Now, I know, right? Right? All the stuff you don't hear. But like I said, though, we tell y'all the truth, and it's Russian propaganda. Well, I guess Russian propaganda is the truth. I'm sorry to tell y'all. But, yep, blame NATO.
You see what's going on with energy now. It's going down.
Yeah.
It makes it much harder for Putin to prosecute the war. So we have a lot of great things on the horizon.
One of your spokespeople came out today and said that you're tired, getting fatigued with Zelensky. I think he treated you poorly in the Oval myself. He's kind of a punk. But is he the problem?
You said it.
Yeah. Is he the problem? Is Putin the problem? Or is Europe the problem?
So
well, actually, it's kind of Europe's the problem. Now, in the United States, we've had 3 administrations pretty much tell us don't do it. Okay, we had people in Clinton's administration tell us, yeah, don't let Ukraine into NATO. We had the people in the Obama administration pretty much saying, yo, don't let Ukraine into NATO. And then once again, we have people in the what was it? Yeah, it was Clinton, Bush, Obama. Yeah, those 3 administrations said straight up, do not let Ukraine into NATO. And what the hell we let the NATO do? We let NATO try to bring Ukraine in there. And that's where it is. Now, you can be mad all you want, but Ukraine does not have that power to honestly choose its destiny. I'm sorry, but it's too connected to Russia in that way where Russia is willing to fight for it. And here's the problem. I have not seen anybody willing to put boots on the ground for Ukraine besides Ukrainians. And here's the problem. If it's only Ukrainians, then they're going to lose like they are now. And that's not Russian propaganda. That's the fact of the matter. It's like they have no way of winning this war. And the only way these people can honestly stop seeing more of their people die on a daily basis is to cease fire and pretty much just honestly have to concede some land.
But Russia's a very big military force, and Ukraine isn't. Without Ukraine, and I'm the one that supplied the javelins to them, so I did a lot for them because the tanks got stuck in the mud, and then they got javelins, right? And they always say Trump gave the javelins, and it was in that case Obama gave sheets. He gave sheets. They sent nothing. But Biden gave money like nobody's ever seen before. $350 billion. $350 billion. Gave military equipment, gave storage. We had massive storage bins full of ammunition, buildings as long.
Yeah, when Trump do say that 350 billion, he's not talking about in like dollars alone. He's also talking about, military equipment plus dollars adds up to 350 billion.
Long as the eye could see, gave the ammunition. What he did is, look, between the border and the this and the that, but this war is so bad. And remember this, I say it here, I say it every time. This is Biden's war, not my war. I'm just trying to end it. And I'm actually ending it, yes, for money, but I'm not.
Oh, make sure we like the video, guys. Let's make sure we double tap that screen. Let's get more people in on the conversation. Appreciate your support, by the way. But yes, let's make sure to double tap that screen.
I'm not ending it for that, number one. I'm ending it because they're losing 5,000 people a week. Young soldiers are being killed, Russian and Ukrainian both. But in the end, Russia has a lot of soldiers, and they have a very big military. And things were said, like when Zelensky was in the Oval Office, I was talking about getting it done, and he starts screaming, but we need security, meaning security after the fact. I said, security? I don't even know if we can get this deal done. He's asking for more, just more and more and more. And he doesn't have the cards, as you know, because you see what's happening over there. He doesn't have the cards. So hopefully he's going to get it done, because I don't believe that Vladimir Putin would be doing this for anybody else but me. A lot of people have said it too.
Yeah.
I think
he don't even have to do it. Like, honestly, and I'll be real with you, he has no benefit in doing it. The only benefit he has is just a good relationship with the United States. He don't got to concede no land. He don't even really got to stop, because nobody's going to put boots on the ground to stop him. So it's kind of effed up that the only reason why Putin is kind of seeing this man Trump is because he wants to be cool with the U.S. and that's it. That's the only reason, because he knows that the U.S. is probably the only power in the world that can pull the collar of NATO and be like, yeah, y'all got to back off.
He had the idea of going all the way through. I think he's willing to make a deal. And I would say thus far, he's been easier to deal with than Zelensky. Thus far.
Mr. President, I have to tell you, I didn't understand why gold was going up so fast. until I walked into the Oval.
Oh,
And the way
well, we're making it nice. We're making it the way it should be.
You have transformed the Oval.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think I've transferred it and transformed it,
Yeah.
maybe more importantly in what we're doing with our ideas, our policies, because we had some really bad things happening to our country. And we now have a strong border. We're now respected. When you take a look at the money that's pouring in through the tariffs, you're going to see, I mean, I want to, that would be
it went from 2 billion to 3 billion a day. I mean, shout out, that is revenue.
ambition. I'm going to make you a fan of it, but
You got
not that I want to.
I would love to be a fan of it.
Not that I want to do, tariffs or anything else, but I want to save our country.
Yes.
We were losing $5 billion a day. You can't do that. It's not sustainable. So we'll be doing another interview in a year or 2 years from now, and you're going to say, you were right on that. I've been right about a lot of things.
I have been corrected by your actions before.
Yeah, but
So thank you.
It's a great honor to be with you.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All righty. I mean, hey, that was actually a nice one. All right, though. He says he got a post-interview reaction. Why not?
Stack of questions that I had for him, and I kept skipping them because his people were off to the side showing me he's got a meeting he's got to get to. And so I didn't ask him a lot of the stuff I really wanted to ask him, but we ran out of time. But he did invite us back, and we will be back to talk about him. I hope that was satisfying to you. I hope I answered or asked some of the questions, and he answered some of the questions to your satisfaction.
I mean, to our satisfaction for sure, but the liberals, I mean,